I remember my first multi-class athlete, her name was Tamara Nowitzki, and she swam at the Sydney 2000 Games. And the first time she came into my pool, I was coaching at a club called Ferny Hills. And it was 1993, and she's come down in a wheelchair and rolled in, and I thought, oh, well, what's going to happen here? And she came up to me and she said, are you the coach? I said, yes. And from there she said, well, will you coach me? And I said to her, well, can you swim? And she said, yeah, I can swim. And she stood up out of a wheelchair. Now, I'd never seen that before.
If you happen to have swimmers with a disability walk into your program, I think it's really important that you find out what they can do. All right, know what their disability is, find out about that disability, and then it's really important if they've got an arm amputee, what can you do to help them work on their pull? You might be adding a paddle to their shortened arm so they can still do pull. If they're whatever the disability is, finding out what they can do rather than letting them miss out things because they can't do it.
The biggest thing that I could say is always to be speaking to the parents and knowing what's happening at home, letting the parents know that you understand and that you have their child in the best interest.
So I was a bit taken aback and I said, well, what's wrong with you? And she said, well, I've got cerebral palsy. And I didn't know much about that, and she told me what cerebral palsy was, and I soon understood what her disability was. From there, she said, so will you coach me? I said, well, I haven't even seen you swim yet. She said, well, I bought my togs. So she hopped in and she swam, and she only did about 400 metres, and she wasn't very fast. But she had the basic stroke mechanics. And she hopped out and she said, so will you coach me? And I said, well, will you pay me the squad fees? And she said, yeah, of course I will. I said, well, I'll coach anyone that pays me the squad fees.
I don't do a lot of drill work with the athletes that they have at the moment, which is not to say that I don't think it's valuable, I do. But for my athletes at the moment, it's better for them to be thinking all the time about how they're swimming and not having to think about the drill of the swim, which if the drill's not done correctly, it doesn't make a better stroke.
Richard, who's the S14, can do everything that everyone else can. Aaron, who's the S6, we chuck fins on him a whole lot, and the biggest thing for him is getting a lot more length in his stroke. Because he has limited function on the left side of his body, we make sure that he's in the lane next to the wall so there's no issues with running into other people and things like that. And then with Ashley, who's the S9, the only difference really is in my explanation of things and the way I get her to think about the different movements.
We set the goal for Sydney to make the team again and for her to win a medal. And turns out I made the team as well. She won a silver medal. Most satisfying thing about that was after the race, she ran straight towards me and said, we did it.
The swimmers you've got, the able-bodied swimmers will learn from them, you'll learn from them as a coach, and you'll all sort of grow together.